Well, hi friends, welcome back to the homestead. Winter is right around the corner, and there's a number of things that we need to do to get ready for the winter time. And today I want to give you my top 10 things I like to do to prepare for those cold winter months. All right, so the first thing you want to do to prepare for winter is getting your house squared away. So one of them is your HVAC system. So making sure that your HVAC system, I've got one here and I've got a smaller one right here. Making sure that it's working properly, you've changed your air filters, all of that kind of stuff. But also in your house, maybe you want to seal off exterior rooms so you're not heating the entire house, rooms that you're maybe not using or something. So getting some plastic sheeting, some tape, that kind of thing, warm blankets, sleeping bags, all of that within your own house is going to be so key and vital if it gets really, really cold. All right, so a second thing to get ready for the winter time are your heaters and heat lamps, that kind of thing. Got a little heater up here, so I want to make sure that that is also working properly. If you got indoor space heaters, go ahead, plug those in, making sure those are working. And heat lamps, those are important, especially if you have animals. And kind of throw this in here as a bonus, your animals. So that would include hay, straw, the food for your animals. If you can't get to the grocery store and get the food for your animals, that's not good. So making sure that you have enough of that in place, bedding, all of that. So we have goats, chickens, dogs, a cat somewhere. So we want to make sure that our animals are good to go for the wintertime as well. So a third thing you need to have ready for winter is your water. What I mean by this is whether you are in an outbuilding like I am in my barn, and you've got, a sink, and I've got these pipes here running behind. So making sure that that water is cut off if you are not going to be using it. Obviously, if you have outbuildings or exposed pipes, you need to insulate those pipes. And then also spigot covers. So making sure going around your house and putting those little foam, there's all kinds of them actually, but those little spigot covers that just keep that good to go, and it won't crack the pipes behind there and break those pipes. So anyway, water is going to be a big one for the wintertime. All right, so the fourth thing you want to do is make sure your generators are working properly. I've got a whole house generator behind me, or if you have portable generators, making sure that you have enough fuel for those if you're using gasoline or propane. Also just running it, before the winter hits and making sure nothing's wrong with it, there's enough oil in it, all of those things that you need. But this is a big issue that a lot of people run into. There's an ice storm, they don't have power, they go out to start their generator and it doesn't work. So making sure your generators are working is going to be a big one for the wintertime. All right, so number 5 are your tools and equipment. So in my shop here, I've got obviously tools over here, but making sure you take your batteries out. If you don't, obviously you're not going to be using your lawnmower in the wintertime, so you can remove your battery. If you are going to be using like 4-wheelers side by side, obviously you can't do anything about that. But you can put little trickle chargers on them, just to make sure they're topped off so when you do need them, the battery's not dead. So that's one tip there. But I would remove batteries from things like a lawnmower during the winter time. The other thing also with tools are things like your chainsaw. So I've got my chainsaw back here, making sure that's good to go and those chains are sharpened because there's been a lot of times where people, they get stuck on their, on their road, their driveway or something, a tree has fallen over because of an ice storm and they can't get out. And they go to use their chainsaw and the chain is dull or it's just not working properly or something. So making sure you got sharp chains on there, that kind of thing. Sharpen your axes, those kinds of things that you could help someone in the wintertime, getting a good toe strap, all those kinds of things, getting ready in the wintertime. So if you get stuck or your neighbor gets stuck, you can help them. All right, so a sixth thing I would recommend are your prepping items. This would include some freeze-dried food, enough food for your whole family for at least 2 weeks. My recommendation is 6 months, but at least 2 weeks of food, and also the ability to get clean drinking water. So I don't know how you want to do that. If you've got a water purification or filtration system, which I highly recommend, I'll drop some links down below. But having some way to get clean drinking water. And then the other things like first aid, emergency communications, batteries, flashlights. I mean, all kinds of things that you might need, even things like saws and knives and whatever, that, paracord, all those kinds of things just to have on hand just in case. But it really is a big safety net and a peace of mind to have those things, especially during the wintertime. All right, so number 7 on the list is fuel. I want to say fuel and firewood. however you heat your house. I know besides electricity. So it could be if you're using regular fuel like propane to heat or kerosene heaters, like that kind of stuff, make sure you've got enough propane, kerosene, maybe even gasoline. I'll have that in here for maybe vehicles. So there's that. But also firewood. And so we have a wood stove. So we use our wood stove pretty much every day throughout the wintertime. And so making sure you've got stocked up firewood, especially seasoned firewood. You don't want to just use green stuff, right? So ideally a year or two would be great to have your firewood seasoned. So I have another video on when's the best time to cut firewood. I say anytime because in the middle of summer, spring, whenever, but we have to put firewood away in different spots. So I've got some obviously here in this little firewood shed, got some that we're using here, got another stack. You got, you know, stacks around, and then some near our house as well. So anyway, just having enough fuel and firewood around can be really important. All right, so number 8 on the list is making sure that your chimney pipe is cleaned out. So if you have a wood stove or a fireplace or something, before you start a fire, make sure that that's cleaned out so it doesn't build up that creosote. That could start a fire. So we do this about every other year or so, making sure ours is nice and clean. So go ahead and do that. You can do it yourself. You get those brushes. If it's easy to do, you know, do it yourself. If it's harder and it's really steep or something, then get a professional to do it. But making sure that's cleaned out before the winter time. All right, so number 9 is getting your vehicle prepped. So checking your tires, making sure you've got enough antifreeze, your battery, maybe even battery charger. I've got a whole video just on what I have in my truck. I'll drop a link for that down below. But you want to make sure that you have everything you need for your vehicle, just in case you're out somewhere and you get stuck or you can't get out or someone else is stuck and you need to help them out. All things that you need to have with you in your vehicle, especially during the winter time. All right, so rounding out the list today, number 10 is to trim those trees or branches that may be overhanging your equipment, your house, your barns, your sheds, all that kind of stuff. You can see I need to do that myself. I've got some branches that are over my roof up there. Of course, got my son's ham radio stuff over here as antennas. But you can see those branches that are hanging over that. So things like that. So especially if you have nice equipment somewhere and you don't want those things to get hurt or damaged, especially if it gets really icy and sometimes those branches hang down really low and they snap and they break, or those trees fall, I guess you can't do a lot with that, but especially those branches oftentimes will break off. So going ahead and trimming those back, making sure your house is nice and safe and protected. Well, guys, I hope this has been helpful for you today. And if there's things that I've left out on my list that you like to do around your house or your property, go ahead and drop those down in the comments below. If you've not done so, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. We do really appreciate you and your support for us, and we'll see you on the next video.